Back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. It's time again for our interview portion of the program. Coming back this week, we have Brodie Chase, a dear friend of mine. Brodie was here last week, and as you all know, and gave us his history, gave us a lot of background information, talked about Japan, talked about a lot of big things in his career, and we moved forward up to the time when he was actually started doing some training of his own. And he actually went and did a WWE event. And Brodie, we want to welcome you back to Inside Wrestling Radio. I really appreciate you coming back for the second week in a row. It's glad to have you back, brother.
Thank you very much. Building looks so much bigger this time. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, what that's all about. Maybe it's a new room or something.
Yeah.
So listen, we're talking about a little bit of the training aspect of it. Tell us about the actual training of these guys that you've done.
Well, I love training. Even now, I'm a personal trainer, and I do the wrestling training for NCW now too.
Yeah.
So anybody's wanting to break in this area, I'd love to come up and contact me. I'd be glad to give them some kind of price and talk to them if they want to get involved with it. When I went and did the WWE show, that was real cool. I almost got a job.
Let me stop before you get to that. Now, how did you get that gig? How did you get the call up to WWE?
Bill Behrens. Bill Behrens called me.
And he's from Anarchy. Right?
Anarchy,
okay,
yes.
Right.
And Bill is a dear friend of mine, and I owe a lot to Bill. And Bill really was good to me. And he called me, and he's got a very distinctive voice, and he says, Brodie, this is Bill Behrens, wanting to know if you can work a show for the WWE. That was exactly the way it was. Yeah. Of course I can.
Yeah, right.
You need me tonight?
I'm what I'm doing right now, yeah.
I'm on my way. Where do I go? So I was booked for this show, and we went down, and was doing the Raw taping that particular night, and we were in the ring, and me and Jeff Lewis were wrestling each other, and there was a six-man match, and Michael Judas and Phil Shatter were there, Kirby Mack and his brother, TJ.
Yeah, Team Action.
Yep, Team Action. And the opening spot was Jeff and I was bumping and feeding for the babyface. And a lot of the guys came over after that little training segment was over and started, kind of putting me over a little bit, telling me how good I bumped for such a big guy and how I fed. And some people was making them watch it. So then Alicia Fox comes up to me.
Current WWE diva, Alicia Fox on the SmackDown brand, right?
Very sweet girl. And she's twice as beautiful in person as she is on television, just like Mickie James is.
Yeah.
And she came up to me and asked me if I would work with her for a little bit.
She come to you?
Yes,
okay.
And which really shocked me.
Yeah.
Because I may have been because I was stalking her, but she figured she better turn around and speak to me because I'm following her all over the building. But I didn't know you're not supposed to go in the ladies' room. I had no idea.
There was no signs up.
Didn't say no, come in here. It just said women. But anyway, she comes up to me and that was a joke. And she came up to me and asked me if I'd work with her on some stuff, and she wanted to be a little more fluid with her moves. And I said, of course. And we start working, and we draw a little crowd. And then William Regal comes down. And William puts me over for my working with her, and then he starts working with her. And we start feeding off of what the other one's doing. And like while he was trying to show her something, I would stop and demonstrate the little things. Mm-hmm. Look at what he's doing here. Look how good that looks. Mm-hmm. And then he would do the same thing when I was... And we was killing poor little Mike Posey. He was the referee. Mm-hmm. He was the one we were all beating on, and we were killing him. Yeah. And it was so much fun that I really thought I might get that call, and maybe be a little agent, a trainer, or something.
And that's what I was talking about last week when we closed out the program. Just your wealth of knowledge. And I've always said, you should be up there, man. You should because you don't just teach, like I said, how to what we call bump, which means how to take your falls, and certain moves and this. You actually teach the little small little details of things that the eye will pick up on, and the brain will pick on when the eye might not. And it's little subtleties and little psychological things like that they're just not teaching anymore.
Oh, no.
And you got these kids out here that think, I got to get in and I got to get all my 57 flip-flop spots over. Right. I got to come off top rope 37 times. And you can do that, but if it doesn't make any sense, you're killing yourself for nothing. Yeah, and I always loved the fact that you would actually, when you were teaching when you ran your school, the WWC in Greenville, that during training you would actually teach psychology. You would teach character development, and all that stuff, and you have the kids cut promos and learn to bring what's in them out. Because I always said, Ricky Regal is just Scott Franklin turned up to 11. That's all that is.
Who is Scott Franklin?
He's not here.
Okay.
But it's just we bring a part of you out, and you project that to the masses, and that's what I always loved about the way you taught. What was the outcome of the WWE deal? Did you ever go back? Are you going to go back? Is there interest there at all? Or
I got a check, And they said thank you. I didn't pursue it at all. And I guess really in the real world you have to pursue anything. Nobody's sitting there waiting to give you anything.
Sure.
And I teach that, and to this day I fuss at some of my close friends that they aren't doing enough to pursue a job.
Yeah.
And I did not either.
And we've talked about that in private too, some of those things.
And had I done that, I'm almost positive I probably could have, and probably to this day, to be honest with you.
And I have no doubt, because they got a lot of road agents up there who really are just pulling checks.
Right.
They're not doing anything for those kids, and they need I've always said they need a guy in there like you who can go in and just teach them the subtleties and the little stuff about the business.
Well, when WCW was running and we started getting those calls, I called JJ, and we started getting those guys up from the power plant.
Yeah.
I almost had that little hookup for us then at the very beginning of WWC.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and then WCW unfortunately went the way of the dodo. It's one of those things.
It's like the dinosaurs in the tar pit.
It happens. Now you had your own school WWC, which I loved coming up there.
We had a good show,
and you did, and had a good following, had a loyal group of fans, and was putting out a good product every week, and it was a good place. I always thought for those guys to come in and hone their craft. What do you think about that? I
agree. I don't think. Now that I'm going around and doing other shows, I don't think people appreciated the WWC till it was gone.
I agree.
Because I haven't been any place that runs a show that had any nicer building, or even had heat and air, or
a nice dressing room.
Nice dressing rooms.
And the guys appreciate that.
Right. And at the time, I don't think it was, because a lot of people had only been there and a lot of little places around.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it's hard now. It's easy to get a job. Mm-hmm. They just don't realize it. Mm-hmm. They just have to put themselves out there, and they have to ask for a job.
Now, if you were going to pitch a character to WWE, how would you do that? Because that's what these guys need to learn, is how to do that. What would be the first step?
First step, I'd put some YouTube videos out.
Yeah, go viral.
I would go. I would practice my skill till I found some stuff I liked. I would do 15 different characters if I had to. I would do good and bad. I would do a good-looking guy, a bad guy, a scummy guy, a homeless guy. I would, until something stuck. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that video and said, God, I would hire that guy for a movie.
Yeah.
He looks that part.
Yeah.
Then once I honed in on that character, I would push him down their throat till they liked him too.
A prime example of that is the new gimmick you're doing up in NCW right now.
Oh, yes.
And you've got some YouTube stuff I know that's out there, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment. Tell us a little bit, before we go to break, tell us a little bit about that character and what his mind frame is.
Ricky Regal, the sickness is not a character, it's a way of life. You have to understand, it's just, the Book of Brodie is simply a format on how to live your life.
The Book of Brodie.
All I'm doing is trying to give someone a small modicum of peace so that they may have a better life.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to appreciate that.
They will.
The outreach you're doing through the internet and your workings there at the NCW.
They can help, and I can help them. I feel their pain, and I understand the troubles that they're going through. And people have a hard time now with the system the way it is and the economy the way it is. And if they would just give their worldly possessions to me and let me take over for them and help them, then I could transform their life and take that pressure away.
Right.
And take those bad feelings and lustful fantasies
sure.
and the problems of temptations out of their daily life.
Sure. And all for the small price of all their worldly possessions.
Well, and of course that would be donated to the Book of Brodie.
Well, obviously.
All I want to do, I certainly don't want any worldly possessions. All I need is food and covering.
Right.
Food and covering is all you need to survive. And that's all one should ever ask for.
Let me break you right there, Brodie. We'll come back in the next segment. We'll finish up with Brodie Chase, one of my dear friends, and just can't thank you enough, Brodie. We'll be right back inside Wrestling Radio.